folks, I'm Johnnie Gabriel, and today I'm going to show you how to make some great appetizers. That's my favorite part of the meal because I like to begin eating just as soon as I can. Today we're going to do a crab dip supreme, and you're going to love this. It is just laden with fresh crab, and it is so good. It's going to be hot when we pull it out of the oven. We're going to spread it on a cracker or bread, and it's going to be delicious. You're going to love it. The first thing I'm going to do, the basis of this is a cream cheese base. So I've got 8 ounces of cream cheese here, and I'm going to have to get it nice and smooth. I'm going to mix it with 2 tablespoons of milk. So let's just go ahead and get this cream cheese in the mixer and get it really whipped up so it's really tasty and creamy when you eat it. In with that, it's going to go 2 tablespoons of milk. I use whole milk when I can, just because the skim milk really just doesn't seem to give you the full body of the flavor. So there's 2 tablespoons of milk. And horseradish, one of my favorite things. And of course, it's great with seafood. So let's put a tablespoon of horseradish in this mixer, and let's get it started going here, because we're counting down to a great appetizer just laden with crab. I'm going to turn this on, get it mixed up really good. And while this is mixing and getting really good and creamy, I'm going to chop some onions. I've got a few chopped ahead right here, but it's just green onions or scallions. Just scallions is a fancy name for green onions. So I've chopped most all I need. Chop a few more here. And there's nothing that replaces a sharp knife in the kitchen. There is nothing. You can work yourself to death without a good sharp knife. So that's a good investment for you to make if you're really interested in learning to cook. And once you learn to cook, you're going to enjoy your food. You're going to be so proud when you put this on the table in front of your family. But one of the instruments you need is a good sharp knife. So I may turn this up a little bit to get it really good and creamy. And you can just smell that horseradish in here. Man, it just sets your taste buds on fire. When you're creaming something like this, you want to scrape it down a good bit, get it off the side of the bowl, and it's imperative that this is creamy. You're going to be able to taste it when you get ready to eat it. If it's not creamy, you'll taste big chunks of cream cheese. So let's get that going good. Then I'm going to add the scallions. And they smell so good. Oh my gosh. This is just laden with all kinds of good tasting things. There we go. Now, got it. We're going to just clean off this mixer, get all the good stuff, and you're going to fold in the crab. And this, when I show you this crab, man, your mouth is going to water. You're going to be ready to eat this crab dip. Here's your crab. Look at that. It's just great. You can just, seafood, I love it. And with horseradish, it's wonderful. Now, you don't want to break this up too much because you want to get that chunk of crab when you dip with your cracker. So you're just going to fold it in. Nothing harsh going on with this crab. Once you get it good and mixed up, you're going to put it in a nice plate here. You're probably going to serve from this plate, so you want to make sure it looks pretty good so your guests will enjoy. Presentation is not quite everything, but it means a lot. So, and because I don't like to wash dishes a lot, I'm just going to spray it with some nonstick spray. And this recipe is in my new cookbook, Cooking in the South with Johnnie Gabriel. It's got some beautiful photography in it. So once I get that sprayed, I'm just going to spread. This is so simple and easy. I'm just going to spread this cream cheese and crab and horseradish and green onions. Going to spread it in this bowl just nice and evenly. Get rid of these green onion tops. We're through with those now. So just spread it around with this spatula. Then on top of that, don't want to leave any of that crab out, but on top of that, we're going to sprinkle these almonds that I have toasted. So they're nice and brown. If you toast a nut, it just brings the flavor out. And being from the South, I like pecans especially, almonds, walnuts, pistachios, all kinds of nuts. So just sprinkle those around. Then for a little more color, you're going to put some paprika on it. Adding this pretty red paprika to this otherwise kind of pale dish adds just enough color to make it very festive looking and really pretty for a summertime dish. So we're going to bake this at 350 for about 20 minutes, and Mo's going to help me with that. Mo, if you'll put that in the oven. I'm going to serve it with a favorite cracker of mine. You can make this crab dip for an impromptu party, just last minute thing, because you can keep this crab, it's pasteurized, and you can keep it in your refrigerator and be ready anytime. You're going to find the recipe too in my cookbook, Cooking in the South with Johnnie Gabriel. I guarantee you're going to love this dip. We're back to learn how to make this great cheese terrine. I love it. My friend Betty Burnside gave me this recipe, and you're going to love it too. I'm going to start first by making my garlic cream, because that's the most time-consuming part, or that needs to whip around in this Cuisinart a little bit. If you don't have a Cuisinart, you'd love to get one, because it makes life so easy in the kitchen. This has got 8 ounces of cream cheese, one of my favorite things. It's got a half a stick of butter going in it. That's another one of my favorite things. It's got some pistachios. It's a 1/4 cup of pistachios, and boy, are those good. And it's got a garlic clove. I'm going to show you this cute little thing I have here. You can get the skin off the garlic clove. I picked it up at a food show one day, and it is great. You just put your clove in there, you roll it around 2 or 3 times. You'll actually hear it separate, so you'll know when it's done. And when I do it right, the skin falls right off. Let's see, I hear it cracking in there. See, you hear that crack? That is a wonder. Then you just peel the skin off. Put it on a good chopping board here. And garlic just adds so much to every dish. Seems like we use it in all kinds of whatever ethnic dish it is, everybody seems to love the garlic. I'm going to chop this up. Get it in with this cream cheese. And give it a couple of turns with a Cuisinart. While we're doing that, I'm going to prepare my dish. It's just a loaf pan, something you should have in your home. There it goes. It'll get nice and creamy. I just spray it. Even though I'm going to line it with some wax paper, I'm still going to spray it, just to be sure that when I get ready to take that cheese terrine out and enjoy it, that it's going to come out of this dish. This terrine has some basil in it. It's got a lot of basil in it, as a matter of fact, because it's got pesto sauce. So on the bottom, which is going to become the top of my terrine, I'm going to put some basil leaves. Just gives it a little decor when you're finished with it. Check that cream here. Yep, it's getting like we want it to be. And I've got provolone cheese, a pound of provolone cheese, and I'm just going to line my dish with it. So you're going to put it, and you're going to cover the sides, the bottom, and there's going to be 4 layers of provolone cheese. An Italian's dream dish. So we'll get the cheese in here on the sides, even on the end, because when you turn it out, it's going to look just like a loaf of cheese, but it's going to have all this great stuff in the middle. That's what a terrine is. It's just layers and layers of good stuff. Let's see if we've got that fixed. Let's see how this cream is doing. Oh. You can smell the pistachios, you can smell the garlic. It is so good. Clean this blade off here. I don't know how you can cook and love to cook and not have a Cuisinart in your house, so maybe you should ask for one for a birthday or a holiday gift. But it is a time saver. So get all this good cream, don't miss a bit of it, because it's nice and garlicky and pistachios. All right, I've got my layer of cheese in here. And the first thing I'm going to put down is a layer of the pesto. So we'll set that aside. Get this pesto nice and stirred up. Pesto sauce is garlic and basil and basically olive oil. Some salt and pepper, just enough to enhance its flavor a little bit. So let's put this pesto in. You're going to end up with several layers of the pesto. And every time you put a new ingredient in, you're going to put a layer of cheese just on the bottom. So let's get this cheese stacked in there. All right, our next ingredient that goes in here, this gets a little confusing if you're not following your recipe really, really closely, is a layer of the sun-dried tomatoes. I'll just use the same spatula. You're going to use 2 layers of sun-dried tomatoes, so you're going to put just about half of this. This is a half of a cup. The tomatoes you buy in the grocery store, they come packed in oil. They're delicious. Got a little tart flavor, tangy. Goes great with this dish. Every time you put in a new ingredient, you're going to put in another layer of cheese. So here goes some more cheese. Then you're going to put this garlic cream in. Just spread it all around. I can just smell it. Gosh, I wish you could smell it too. And you would be rushing right out to get the ingredients to make this. Then the rest of your tomatoes go in. Just throwing them around here in the kitchen. Good thing I don't mind cleaning up, because I end up having to clean up after myself. All right, we got the tomatoes. We're going to put another layer of cheese. I'm going to add the cream, finishing that up. You really can't go wrong with this because you're going to begin with cheese and end with cheese. So you want to get all this good garlic and pistachios out of there. Just smooth it down. You're not going to see any of this till you cut it, and it's all going to look good. So just add another layer of cheese. You're really going to enjoy this. It's going to be worth the effort. And I know you think that's too much cheese, but it's really, really not. You add this pesto and these tomatoes, and you're going to have some happy guests. Speaking of happy guests, you can make this a day ahead, and then you can be a happy hostess. You can have it all ready for them when they walk in the door. Spread that pesto around really, really good. Put another layer of cheese on there. Then you're just going to fold your wax paper in on top. And you're going to put it in the refrigerator. You really need to make it a day ahead, so it's nice and set, and those layers just compact. And you want to pull something out and weight it down. I used 5 pounds of sugar, and you just lay your bag of sugar right on top of the cheese, and it presses it, presses it, presses it. And you'll see some of the pesto juice start to come out and the oil in it, but that's okay. That's how it's going to be good. The recipe calls for you to lay a brick on it, but I don't have any bricks laying around my house, so I had to use 5 pounds of sugar. So I'm going to put it down here in the fridge. So that you can see what it looks like. I've made one ahead of time. That, as I said, that oil comes out, but that's okay, because you're going to get rid of all this paper. And when you start to eat it, it's going to be so good, you won't care. Let's see, I'm just going to use my apron here. That's what I have it on for. And this has been sitting up overnight. So I'm going to flip it over, and hopefully I'm going to turn it out on the plate and not on myself. That's this wax paper, just pull it out. There we go. Came out. That's because I sprayed the bowl. Pull the wax paper off. It's just dripping with pesto. Woo, it's going to be good. So good. And see, there are the little basil leaves we put on it. Made a nice little design. You're going to use some baguettes, just thinly sliced. Place it around it. You're just going to want to cut a little piece of this cheese off because it's really, really rich. When you just cut a little small end off, put it on the baguette, it's going to be delicious. We'll garnish it a little more so it's really a wow dessert when your friends come in. If you have some leftover basil, just kind of tuck some in on the tray here. Ooh, I smell that basil and it makes me hungry right now just thinking about it. Got this pretty little tomato rosette. Gonna sit it right on top. There you have it. Can't beat that. People are gonna think you worked and worked and worked for them. They're gonna feel really, really important when they come in to eat this. As I said, you're just gonna take little slices of it. It's gonna be delicious, and they're really gonna be impressed. Thank you, Betty and Cindy, for sharing this appetizer with me. It's one of my favorite, the cheese terrine. That's our appetizer number 2. Now we're gonna move on to appetizer 3, which is a biscuit with bacon and tomato, and it's like a BLT in a biscuit, and who wouldn't love that? Welcome back, folks. I'm Johnnie Gabriel, and I love to cook these appetizers I'm going to make for you today. It's a biscuit with bacon and tomato in it. It's great for a brunch item. It's great for an appetizer in the evening, and you're going to really enjoy these. This is going to be a crowd pleaser. You're going to wow your friends when you make them. The one thing you need to remember is you need to have some frozen biscuits on hand. There's 15 frozen biscuits. When you get those biscuits, you're going to let them thaw out a little while so that you can slice them in half. And I found out that it's a little bit easier to slice if you just slightly let them thaw. Sometimes slightly stiff will keep you from cutting yourself. So I've already fixed these pans with the biscuits in there. And here's one that I have cut in half, and I'm going to show you how to put it in the pan. And you know what? You can't do it wrong. It's just pop them down in these little mini muffin pans, and I've sprayed the pans. I've also turned on the oven too to 375. They cook in kind of a hot oven. So with a sprayed pan, some already in biscuits in the pan, I'm going to show you how to tuck these in. As I said, you can't do it wrong. You just push them down in here. And they don't look pretty going in the pan, but boy, when they come out, they're delicious. Your friends are going to love these. Your family, they're going to want you to make them all the time, brunch or appetizer. Of course, it's got mayonnaise in it since it's got bacon and tomato. And I'm going to start by putting my mayonnaise in here. This is a half a cup of mayonnaise. Just need that handy spatula again. Put it in your bowl. Going to have some bacon. This is the good stuff. You're going to add some Swiss cheese that I've chopped up pretty fine, actually. I did this in a Cuisinart. And you know what? I'm going to break this up a little bit as it goes in so it's not so hard to break up in the mayonnaise. So there's your Swiss cheese. There's a sweet onion. I love sweet onion in just about everything if I'm going to have onion in it. Oops, scoot these over a little bit. Okay, and some almonds. Then here's the tomato. It's just a medium-sized tomato, and I've seeded it and chopped it, but I'm going to show you how you seed a tomato. It's so easy. You just take the tomato, you just cut it in fourths, and then cut those fourths in half again. And you want to get all these little seeds out because they just don't taste that good, and you're getting some of the moisture out of the tomato. And your biscuits aren't mushy. They're just nice and tender. So let's get rid of this part of the tomato. I'm going to chop it up, and I've chopped it pretty fine. Everything in here is pretty fine because you're putting it down in this little bitty compartment here of this muffin tin. So the smaller you can get it, the better. So just chop that up, get it in there. And we're going to add these tomatoes. So now you've got bacon, tomato, and mayonnaise, and what is not to love about that? Throw in some onion, some almonds. Then we'll throw in a teaspoon of basil. I nearly forgot that. So here we go with the basil. That just gives it a nice, nice aroma. Mix this up really, really good. And you're just going to have a mishmash of delicious ingredients. Then you're just going to take a little tablespoon because you've got your biscuits ready to go in the oven. Just going to take a little tablespoon, a teaspoon here, and pop it down in there. And you can't do this wrong. You just push it down in there. And you think, well, that's not going to work. But the biscuit is going to bake up around the ingredients. And going to be so good. They're nice and warm. So just fill these little cavities. And every Southerner loves a good old biscuit. This is a buttermilk biscuit. So let's get this filled up. These biscuits may try to rise on you while you're filling them, but don't worry about it. You can't make them too full, and it won't hurt a thing. So just fill them up really nice. Get tomato in each one of them. When they come out of the oven, they're going to be delicious. I'm going to get Mo to put these in the oven. And when they come out, they're going to be great and brown. You want to make sure you bake them long enough, about 15 minutes. But if yours aren't brown when you get ready to take them out of the oven, leave them in about 4 or 5 more minutes. Just depends on your oven. You just need to have it calibrated if it's really off. But about 4 or 5 more minutes and you should have a great brown, golden brown biscuit that'll be good to eat. Thank you folks for joining me today. We've made 3 of the best appetizers I know. There's the crab dip supreme, the cheese terrine, and the bacon and tomato biscuit. You're going to love these. I thank you for joining me today. I'm going to have Mo come on in and let's try these. I'm Johnnie Gabriel and I love to cook, and you will too when you try these appetizers.